Should you go straight to the seller when you're buying a home in Hamilton? Well, the short answer is no. Now, if you want the long answer, then keep watching this video. I get it. Times are pretty tough right now. You're trying to buy a home, but all the bills just seem to keep piling up and it's punching your wallet directly in the throat. And it makes sense that you'd be looking for ways to shave off every possible dollar. And one of the ways that buyers have thought to do just that is to go directly to the listing agent when they're buying a home. The thought process generally is that if the seller does not have to pay the buyer agent commission, then they will be saving that money and they will be passing those savings on to you as the buyer. It's like trying to fix the brakes on your car after you watch a 6-minute YouTube video, and maybe it saves you some money and it sounds great in theory until your car starts drifting into oncoming traffic. When you're buying a house, here's what's really going on when you're going directly to the seller. Most people don't really understand what a real estate agent is actually doing for you. Most people think it's just opening doors and turning on light switches, and honestly, sometimes it does feel like that, but the real job of a real estate agent is protecting you and protecting your best interests in your transaction. So when you're buying a home, your realtor is helping you to spot red flags. They're helping you to understand what the home is actually worth and what it actually isn't worth. The listing price that you see isn't the actual value of the home, it's just a marketing tool. And sometimes your agent's job is to also tell you what you don't want to hear. You don't want somebody who's going to be selling you any one particular house. You want somebody who's going to be fighting for the best outcome for you, and that sometimes means walking away from a particular house. Maybe it's not the house that we're looking at today, but it's the house that we're buying 3 weeks from now. And that guidance is exactly what you lose when you go directly to the seller's agent, because their mission is simple. They're trying to sell that house because that's the one that they were hired to sell, and that's the only one that they get paid to sell. Going directly to the seller can cause you to buy something that maybe you wouldn't have otherwise bought. Now, you might think that when you do buy this house directly, you're saving money, but you're actually not. A lot of buyers think that there's some magical discount waiting for them if they go directly to the listing agent, but in Ontario, that's not how it works. When your seller lists their home, they sign a listing contract which sets out the commission rate that they pay. Typically, it's anywhere from 4 to 6%. So let's say the total commission the seller is paying is going to be 4%. If there's a buyer agent involved, that's usually split 50-50, 2% going to the buyer agent, 2% going to the seller. Now, if the seller brings the buyer themselves, they don't have to pay out that buyer commission. They end up keeping the full 4%. Now, here's the thing. If there ends up being no buyer agent, if the listing agent represents both the buyer and the seller, they don't have to pay the commission out back to the seller or give a discount to the buyer. They just keep the full 4% for themselves. And that really is the incentive for them to do the extra work of representing both the buyer and the seller. Otherwise, they would prefer for there to be a buyer agent if they weren't going to be making any extra money. So the incentive is more money for them, not additional savings for you. The scenario I think a lot of people are picturing when they're trying to go direct is the house is listed at $500,000 and 4% of that would be about $20,000 in commissions that the seller would be paying out. People think that if they offer $490,000, then the seller is now saving that 10 grand that they're not paying with commissions. But the listing agent doesn't end up giving you a dime of that. And what happens if you end up paying $550,000 for that home that's worth $500,000 because you didn't have your own representation? Or even worse, you buy the home and it has $50,000 worth of hidden costs that you didn't realize were there because nobody told you about them. And you had nobody there that was looking for them on your behalf. Most of the time, going direct doesn't save you any money. It actually costs you a lot more in the long run. Another thing to keep in mind is that the seller's agent isn't neutral. Multiple representation in Ontario sounds fine on paper. The idea is that if the listing agent represents both the buyer and the seller, then they have to stay neutral. They can't push too hard for you and they can't push too hard for the seller. But think about what that actually means. If they fight for your best interest, they're hurting the seller. And if they fight for the seller's best interest, they're hurting you. So they get caught in this kind of weird middle space. Nobody ends up getting fully represented. So even if they do manage to stay perfectly balanced, that doesn't help you at all. Because now you have somebody who isn't guiding you, who isn't warning you, and who isn't advising you on the best possible move. They're basically a referee watching two players collide and breaking up any fights that happen. Is that really who you want to be steering the biggest financial decision of your life? Then there's the other scenario, the one that everybody pretends doesn't happen, which is they pick a side. And let's be honest, who do you think they're going to be more invested in? The sellers who they already know, who they already have a relationship with, who they've already signed a contract with, or you, the walk-in buyer who's going to disappear if the deal dies? They're going to care more about keeping their seller happy because that is going to be the more direct path to a paycheck for them. You, on the other hand, are not. Now look, it makes total sense that you would be thinking of going directly to the listing agent to try to save some money. Times are tough and everybody's trying to stretch their dollars right now. But cutting out your own representation in the largest decision of your entire life doesn't help you at all. Buying a home is a big emotional move and you deserve somebody who's going to be on your side and who's going to be fighting for your best interests every step of the way. Now, if you're thinking about buying but you don't have an agent of your own just yet and you kind of like my approach, you think we'd be a good fit to work together, then you can feel free to reach out at any time. And if not, that's completely fine too. Just use the information that I've given you to make the best decision for yourself. All right, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check out this video over here in this nice square I'm making here if you're interested in more Hamilton real estate tips, and you can hit that button over on that side of the screen to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.